What can I do to win? I want to win.
Well, again, we don't win if this country doesn't, if the world doesn't go to peace. End of story. And the way we win, for me, I want to see a new third party in 2023. And here's my vision of America: RFK Jr. for President of the United States, and Judge Andrew Napolitano for Vice President, bringing in both sides. That's the way I see what has to happen. If we keep the current crime syndicate, how can anybody with a brain bigger than a pea look up to a Mitch McConnell, a Lindsey Graham? This, by the way, I just got this frame. President killed. Daily News. Here, John Connolly shot. And then this one. RFK goes home. They buried him. RFK Jr., nobody has the heart and spirit that this guy has. Could you imagine your father being assassinated and your uncle being assassinated? The President of the United States? So that would bring, and Napolitano, there's nobody in the United States that knows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights better than him. If we don't have a new way, it's over, and that's my vision for 2023.
Look at the insider trading. They're selling out now big time. It's like $69 billion. Meantime, stock buybacks are hit at all-time high because they're getting the money for nothing, buying back the stock so it looks like there's less of them available, and keep artificially pushing the prices up. Look at merger and acquisition activity, all-time high, cheap money. When you look at the real interest rate, what was the inflation rate that just came out? What was it, 6.8%? Oh, and what is the Fed rate? Oh, near zero? So what am I, stupid? You got negative interest rates.
Japan hit its highest inflation rate in 7 decades. The sanctions that they put on Russia have, the quote from Biden, it was going to punish Putin. It didn't punish Putin, it punished the people. Again, then you look at the headlines going on and on from place after place. China, December manufacturing contracts at its sharpest pace in almost 3 years. Wall Street Journal, Chinese economic activity takes big hit. It's one after another. And again, they're making a very bad situation worse by ramping up the war. So let's go back to the reality. Let's go back to 2019, not ancient history. Germany was a fraction of going into a recession. Let's go back to September of 2019. Hey, remember the repo markets where the Federal Reserve dumped in $10 trillion between September 2019 to January 2020 so they could keep pumping up the markets because they needed more cheap money? Now let's go to the COVID war. They locked down the world. Well, they're afraid that with the data coming out, they're going to keep raising interest rates. And that means the money junkies can't keep their monetary methadone, buying it cheap to keep playing the markets, and private equity groups and all of the rest buying up everything. But it's a guessing game because the game is so rigged. Everything is so corrupt. You know, we talked about the Wells Fargo gang being fined a slap on the wrist of people out of billions and billions of dollars. Same thing, like scumbags at the JP Morgan Chase club over there, gangster banksters, 5 felonies, nobody goes to jail. And then they got a thing called a plunge protection team. So you have to also stay with the data. And following the last 40 midterm elections in the United States, the S&P has gone up in the following 12 months some 16%. And again, what's going to happen when they raise interest rates, gold prices will probably go down, but so too will foreign currencies. And the emerging markets borrow their money in dollars. So as their currencies go lower, they have to pay more. So it's going to see a lot of serious civil unrest going on.
You talk about your love for gold and silver and protecting your wealth during these times. Would you be completely out of the banking system now?
I am. A matter of fact, a quick story. I went to the bank, we had a big amount of money there. We called up, and they had a machine counting it all up, and we put it somewhere else. Why am I leaving my money, a lot of dough in a bank and getting no interest on it when they're loaning it out and making money on it? How dare you? And then the person said to me, "May I ask what you're going to be doing with this?" I said, "No. Why would I keep my money in there when they're taking my money, loaning it out and making money on it and giving me zero? Zero. How criminal is that?"
So this is a whole scam because these liars, these little freaks, the central banksters were BSing us for how many years? That when inflation hits around 2%, we will be raising interest rates. This is a crime syndicate. It was a story about a person by the name of Jesus Christ. One day, he drives the banksters out of the temple, the money changers, the Goldman Sachs gang, the JP Morgan Chase bandits. Oh, JP Morgan Chase, you mean the one that rigged the precious metals market and only got fined $900 million? Oh yeah, those banksters. Nothing has changed. And by the way, 3 days later, he's up on the cross. So you don't screw with the banksters.
Well, the reassurance is for people to think for themselves and not get caught up into the system and get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, spiritually, get strong. And again, I don't give financial advice. The thing is going to crash. Everybody that listening knows it. And they all know that it's a rigged game. So do what you can to protect yourself. And again, to me, only speaking for myself, it's precious metals. And they've been around forever and they're not going anywhere. And you're going to start seeing more central banks buying them as well. And again, look for a commercial real estate crash. It's going to happen big time. And that's why, by the way, the Goldman Sachs's, the JP Morgan Chases, the Morgan Stanleys are demanding that their workers come back to work because they know what the loans are and they're invested in the commercial real estate.